Hello. It's Riter Radio, episode 1 million. No, 2 million. No, 209. 209. I feel wholly unprepared for this show. I knew it, but I forgot about it because there were so many other things to think about getting ready for that doing a show after getting back from a whirlwind trip. Spent a lot of time on a plane and a bus and in a hotel and at a football game, but like it was just a lot of sitting in a it was a lot of there was a lot to this trip. So I got back I walked in the door at 2:58 a.m. exhausted. This is 7 hours ago. That really doesn't sound that bad. If you go 7 hours, it's not bad, but it was, I walked in at 3. I'm sure I wasn't asleep until 4. I hit snooze for probably 45 minutes, and I've been like moving around for like 45 minutes total. A lot of planning goes into doing a show and then walking out the door to get on a plane. That was Tuesday. A lot of planning goes into doing a show live from a hotel room with regard to equipment. I got home last night at 3, and I thought I should set up my equipment right now so I'm good to go in the morning, and that doesn't become a factor. It definitely became a factor, in part because I forgot that at some point during yesterday's show, my headset that I always use just stopped working. The microphone just cut out. So there's a repair that needs to be made, which meant time to dig through other equipment and find another way to do the show. So I have different headphones on than normal. I'm using a different microphone than normal, which is just off camera here. But there is I have all the stuff. It's just tough to be 100% prepared when I did the show from a different city with most of the same equipment, but a different computer yesterday, and got home at 3 in the morning and then woke up half an hour before I'm doing the show. So like the equipment setup was a little bit of a struggle, which led to a larger struggle with regard to content for the show, because on my sheet that usually is loaded up with stuff that I've put together over the course of the previous 24 hours, on there I had written down 3 hours of sleep. That was predicted by me early this week when I started the show sheet for this. And then after that, I've just got a bunch of stuff open on the computer because I'm trying to play catch up, because I was trapped in Macworld. Midweek Maction is its own thing. And any news, the government shutdown is over. I learned that this morning. I don't know when that happened, if that was daytime news yesterday or if that was late at night, but when you're on a bus for an hour, then you're at a game for 5 hours, then you're on a bus for 2 hours, then you're on a plane for 2 hours, you kind of lose track of this stuff. So, I watched the Eddie Murphy movie. I'm prepared to discuss that, although I don't think it's time to talk about that yet because it just came out. Like, I didn't even know it was there, and it showed up while I was at the game. I have a tablet that I opened up at the game just to download something, either from Netflix or Prime or whatever for the trip. And it was the first I'd even heard of there being an Eddie Murphy movie, like a documentary about him. And so I was like, well, I'm in on that. Of course I'm going to watch that. And it was good. It's not great. It's good. It's worth watching if you're a fan of Eddie Murphy, and I don't know anybody who isn't. So it's good. No massive takeaways from it. But, like, I watched that rather than, Up in the Air. You don't, well, that's a movie. It sounds like I'm talking about the movie Up in the Air. I'm not. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no connection to the outside world. So it's just, like, download stuff. And then otherwise I would have just been probably reading through things, and I would know more stuff this morning than I do right now because I just watched a movie. And, some other stuff that I had downloaded, but, like, not... I'm not in the know right now as much as I typically am at 10:15 a.m. on a Thursday. It's I'm a little off. These road trips are the midweek ones, and the game was horrible. First really bad game of the year for UB. They've had some tough losses that could have gone the other way, and if this play was different, and this was just... I mean, it was still right there. It was still right there. But ultimately, the final score was gross. There were 5 turnovers that easily could have been 8 turnovers. It was just a bad performance overall. And that is frustrating. It was a long bus ride anyway. followed by a long wait at the airport, followed by a short flight. Flight was short. But it's a 7 o'clock game. It's an hour from here by air, basically. And still got home at 3 a.m. So nobody's fault. It's just logistically, it's a difficult place to get in and out of because it's nowhere. So we're in the middle of nowhere, which leads to a lot of staying at a hotel that's nowhere near it, flying to somewhere nowhere near it, and it was rough. And then you lose. You wonder why you lose games there. There's a hotel. We're sitting in the press box, or our booth, I should say. Press box is a term for the general population area. We're in solitary. I mean, we're together, but we're in solitary together. Paul and Scott and I in a booth, and we're sitting there after. It was a legit hour and a half, more than that because we had to get on the bus a little bit early. So I mean, we were on the bus for a long time, and then we get there and we get up to the booth and we look, and right across from where we are, directly next to the stadium, is a giant, very nice looking hotel. But the problem is Central Michigan uses that hotel. So it's not available to the other team. It's a good advantage. It's nice. These rural sort of outpost type of towns do have an advantage. There's a reason it's very difficult to win at Peden Stadium in Ohio, or at Ohio University, in Athens, I should say. It's because you're either staying a zillion miles from there or, well, it's that. Once in a while we'd get lucky and stay at this place called the University Inn, which is right on campus. But that does not work on Saturdays. It works for midweek action. So if you go to Ohio, maybe, just maybe, if you're playing on Tuesday or Wednesday, you've got a chance to stay at the hotel that's right by the stadium. But if not, we stay in Columbus and drive for an hour and a half. And this is not a knock on UB. It's just this is the setup of the MAC. This is what home field advantage can be. We're different as an actual city in the MAC because hotels, there's not a problem. Teams don't have to stay in Rochester and play at UB. They just stay in. If you don't get to stay at the Marriott across the street, then you stay somewhere by the airport or you stay somewhere downtown. You'll be fine. But those options are not available, which leads to, 7 o'clock game and getting home at 3 a.m. from a place that is not far. We were barely in the air. But the driving in relation to that. Anyway, that's what leads to today's show being sort of all over the place. I don't have any guests lined up because I uber prepared for Tuesday and Wednesday and then woke up today. I went, Jesus, I got to do this. So I don't want to keep having things like this happen, but this might be a shorter than normal show. We started on time, but it might be a little shorter than normal, in part because my head's still spinning, and also because I have somewhere I need to be right after the show again. It's good. It relates to the show. It's a very positive thing. Got a couple things kind of in the works, but starting to meet with some, higher ranked people than my friends, if you know what I mean, with regard to the show and things we may have coming down the road with regard to Riter Radio and live events and sponsorships and that kind of stuff. So looking forward to that, and think that I would probably be better served, all of us, anyone who's interested in this show, and I certainly am, because this is what I'm doing. But I think all of our best interests might be served by the show being cut off a little short today. All right, we're just going to go through the things that are on my screen and react to them as I see fit. That's what's going to happen today, at least for now. Because I've got a bunch of stuff open. I had to reboot the computer. The other thing was getting this audio stuff set up. It never just goes right back into place and everything recognizes everything and everything works. Because part of doing this show, there's this fancy little mixer box over here. It's called a PodTrack 4. It's made by Zoom, which I don't believe is the same company. And maybe it is. Is Zoom, the audio equipment, the same? Let me ask the computer. The computer knows stuff like this. Is Zoom PodTrack same company as online meeting software? Seems a little wordy. Are they related? No, the company that makes Zoom PodTrack audio recorders is not the same company that makes online meeting software, Zoom. Zoom Corporation and Zoom Video Communications. Two different things. All right, so Zoom Corp is the one that I like. Anyway, it's got this equipment, and it's wonderful. It's the reason that I can take live phone calls on the show, and you can hear them just as well as I can, and they can hear me, and we interact. Like, it's awesome. But there are also a lot of things plugged into it. Like, there's a thing that plugs into the power, USB-C cord that runs just to an outlet. There's another USB-C cord that goes right next to it that connects to the USB-C spot on the laptop. If you get those backward, everything's wrong. The power will stay on probably because I think the computer will power it, but you won't hear anything. And you got to check all these different places. So, and I'm using multiple pieces of software to do this. There's a thing called Jingle Palette. That's where all the music and stuff comes from. There's the video software, which is OBS Studio. There is the audio-only software, which is Mixler. And they all have different settings that can be tweaked. And, like, if you don't hear the microphone, it could be the mic. It could be the cord for the mic. It could be that the mic's not on. It could be that the mic's not plugged in. It could be that the mic's not plugged in correctly. It could be that the mic's not turned on the pod track over here. It could be that the input's not turned on Mixler. It could be that the input's not turned on the OBS software. Any of those is possible, and that's just if my mic's not working. So, like, there's just a lot. There's a lot. It's fine when it sits still, and it's beautiful that this thing is as portable as it is. Once we're set up, we're good. Like, we took it to the Bahamas, and I think, the first show we did had a couple struggles, but we were there for a week, so we just settled in, and it was fine. And then I had to break it all down and bring it back, and then you think you're setting it up exactly the same, but something doesn't recognize something, and it's just all that is what's going on here. I know what I'm just babbling about the stuff that I'm dealing with the stuff, but that's what the show is. The show is often about the show. All right, here's the stuff on the screen. And I'm uncomfortable because I usually have the headset mic, but instead I've got this stuff in my way. Can't see my mouse. I don't know, my light. Oh, man, where's my light? We'll do without the light today. We did without the light for a long time. We'll continue to just not have the light. We'll have it back. It'll be totally normal by tomorrow. Tomorrow's show will be fully functional. But this is just sort of a half-assed, I promised I'd be here, so I am type of show. If you want to turn it off right now, you can. It could get wild. Or it could just be nothing. I wouldn't listen to me right now. I wouldn't. And my apologies to Brian Janik, who's presenting a show I'm telling you not to listen to. It's fine. We'll be okay. Just don't expect the earth to move or the world to change based upon the content of this show today. You never know. We might hit something magical. But it's not my intention to be any good today. I intend for today's show to be boring. I'm going for boring. I'm not really going for it. I'm just saying, no promises. That's all. We'll just end there. All right. Government shutdown. The first article about that I tried to open was a Wall Street Journal article. And it doesn't open because I don't subscribe, because I can't subscribe to everything. I think there should be so I use Google News, and it's great because it gives you the top stories and like a few different versions of them. And then there's a local news section, there's a business section, technology, entertainment, sports, science, health, world, U.S., local, like it's all there. But I would like a version of Google News where the only articles it's allowing me to click on are articles that will open when I click on them. Is that too much to ask? I'm not going to subscribe to everything. Yeah, twice a week I want to read something in the LA Times. But I'm not giving you $1 because I have it with the New York Times and the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. I'm not doing it. But I would like there to be, shouldn't we be at this point by now? Where it's like, you're making me click, but we both know, well, you know, and I will soon know, that I'm not going to be able to read the thing anyway. I wonder if this contributes to people having, forming their opinions really quickly based off of headlines. Because you're like, well, I would read it, but I cannot. So I'll just go with what I know. Like Wall Street Journal, all they'll tell me is Trump signed spending bill ending longest shutdown in U.S. history. And then I go to click on it to read it. I think I had the mic off. I'm pretty sure. That was a hardcore sneeze. There might be more coming. See, there's all kinds of problems. All sorts of problems. All right. So anyway, it only told me Trump signs spending bill ending longest shutdown in U.S. history. I click on it, and it says exactly what I just read. And then the legislation, which passed the House, extends funding for the federal government through January 30th. That's it. And so here's what I get. The GOP-led House passed a spending package reopening the government, and President Trump signed it into law late Wednesday, drawing to a close a record-long 43-day shutdown driven by Democrats' demands to extend expiring health care subsidies. It says subsides, but I think they meant subsidies. Wall Street Journal. Come on. And then the next thing it says is continue reading with a subscription. I'm not doing that. And I'll be honest, $1.75 a week sounds pretty fair. And then there's a cheaper option, which is $1 a week. But I'm not giving them $1 a week because once I say yes, once I start just signing up for things, I'm going to say yes to all of them. And I'm going to be paying $40 a week to read each of the things that I want to read. I'm not doing that. So, sorry. I'm out on that. I don't have the story from the Wall Street Journal. CNN, they don't charge me a membership. It's how each House member voted. I don't care. The government shutdown is over, but not everything is back to normal, says NPR, right? 6 House Democrats explain breaking with party to end shutdown. We'll try that one. It's Fox News. See, Fox has got it right. It gets its info to the people. There's no getting in the way of a Fox story. You see a Fox link, you're going to get to read everything they want you to read. Smart. That's how you take over the world. It's good. 6 House Democrats explain breaking with party to end shutdown. None of the 5 names none of these 6 names, rather, is familiar to me, immediately familiar to me. I'm not going to go through and read them out loud so that you are then like, how do you not know who so-and-so is? I'm not going to do that, but none of the 6 names jumps out at me. Obviously, this isn't the thing I think about. I don't open to the Trump page when I turn on my news machine. I tend to open to entertainment and sports and things that matter to me. And I don't dwell on this, but government shutdown, I mean, the fact that we're going on this trip that we're back from now, and Paul Peck was traveling separately, and he was taking another plane, but we had to worry about, is there going to be another plane? Because they're canceling flights like crazy and delaying flights like crazy, and FAA and shutdown, and like all of it. It's just, we're going through, I always want to say customs, but going through like TSA to get on this plane yesterday. I'm like, are you fully staffed? Are you guys getting paid? Like, what? I don't know what's going on. I don't like it. I'm not comfortable with it. All right, here's the story. 6 House Democrats who broke ranks with party leadership by voting in favor of legislation that ended the government shutdown are now opening up about their actions, with one saying the last several weeks have been a case study in why most Americans can't stand Congress. Fair. These 6 people voted with all but 2 Republicans to pass the bill 222 to 209. Trump then signed the legislation Wednesday night, putting an end to the longest shutdown in U.S. history. One of these Congress people said Americans can't afford for the representatives to get so caught up in landing a partisan win that they abandon their obligation to come together to solve the urgent problems that our nation faces. The last several weeks have been a case study in why most Americans can't stand Congress. None of my friends who rely on SNAP would want to trade their dinner for an ambiguous D.C. Beltway messaging victory, and I'm glad this ugly scene is in the rearview mirror. The bill keeps funding the government at the same levels during fiscal year 2025 through January 30th to provide additional time to hash out a longer appropriations measure for fiscal year 2026. The measure also funds the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, a.k.a. SNAP, that more than 42 million Americans rely on through September. The program provides non- or low-income individuals or families the ability to purchase groceries on a debit card. Another one of the Congress people said, I just voted to reopen the government, pay federal workers, and get food assistance and other critical programs up and running again. Now, with the shutdown ended, Congress should take immediate action to extend expiring Affordable Care Act premium tax credits that keep health insurance plans affordable for millions of Americans. We still have a window to pass bipartisan legislation to extend these credits. So I don't know how quickly, like a shutdown's over. Does that mean people who weren't going to work got to go to work today? this article was published this morning at 7:30. I know it said late Wednesday night is when the thing ended. So I don't know. What do you do when you can't go to work because your government job and shut down, and then they figure it out at midnight? Do you have to be there at 7? Because that would stink. I would think, all right, we're shut down, but see you Monday or something, right? Who's going to come in on a Thursday after missing the first 3 days of the week in addition to several others? I know very few people who, at least to my knowledge, are government employees who were forced out of work for the last 43 days. I can think of one that I know that, like, legit, like, no, you don't work right now and you don't get paid either. I don't know if this has impacted people that are close to me. I haven't heard a ton about it. The shutdown was going on for 3 weeks before it was on my mind and, like, in my face on a daily basis. I'm used to, the government might shut down and then it doesn't, or it does briefly and then it gets resolved and I don't feel anything from it. So this is me just kind of being naive, but also not really. I'm not in a bubble. I live in America. And I was, to my knowledge, I don't travel a lot. I don't have regular interactions with the government intentionally. So I don't know. It didn't hit me at all, but I'm glad it's done. That's good. See that hard-hitting coverage from me? All right. I'm done with the shutdown story. That's good. This beloved Americana jam band is calling it quits after one last tour. Little Feat. All right. I needed to click on it. I needed to find out. Because it was from AmericanSongwriter.com, which I trust, they do have clickbaity headlines, but it's usually something decent. So this beloved Americana jam band is calling it quits after one last tour. After nearly 6 decades, one of Led Zeppelin's favorite bands is preparing to take their final bow. Little Feat is hanging it up for good following a lengthy farewell tour scheduled to kick off in the spring. Okay. Oh, speaking of concerts, I found out over the weekend, over the week. It felt like a weekend because it was football. I found out over the week that Joe Jackson is coming. He's 80 years old. I know that. But I love Joe Jackson. I've never seen Joe Jackson. I have seen videos of him performing as an older man, and he's still great, and I still want to do it. And he's not coming to Buffalo, but he will be in Toronto, which I don't think I want to do, and also Rochester at that Kodak Theater inside the Kodak building. It's a weird it's a very cool venue. It's inside of a building that doesn't seem like the venue would be in it. Who did I see there? I saw Ryan Adams there. That might be it. But it's weird. You feel like you're going to work at a factory, but then you wander through some hallways, and the next thing you know, it opens up, and there's like a Shays type of thing inside of it, or more like a UB Center for the Arts type of deal. But smallish, but perfect venue for Joe Jackson. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. I think I need to do that. Concert's not till May, but that's the list for me of I need to see this dude before he's done doing his thing. Many people were very excited about Paul McCartney coming to town. The way that most people would feel about, I got to see Paul McCartney because this might not happen again, is the way that I feel about Joe Jackson coming to town. And even though it's not my town. And then also, it's my favorite thing, concerts in Rochester equal garbage plates. So any trip I have to Rochester, that's how I frame it. Like, oh, okay, do I want to stop and get a plate before or after the thing that I'm doing? Like we had a couple of years ago, I don't even remember what it was, but there was some Christmas gift that if we wanted it for my son, the quickest way to get it was by driving to Rochester. We could have waited a couple more days and it would come to, a Best Buy here, but they had it in stock in Rochester and I was able to like order it, put it on hold. And I was like, yeah, I'll drive for an hour to get this thing. Because I'm also going to Steve T's, which is the former Nick Tahoe's. So I like trips to Rochester, especially when Joe Jackson is there. This is more for me than you. I'm reminding myself, hey, I got to get tickets for that. And they go on sale tomorrow, which is the 14th. All right. The government shutdown has had less, has weighed on my mind less than the YouTube TV versus ESPN situation. There's a new update on that. That continues. Like, no Monday Night Football at my house. A lot of college football missing. Couldn't even watch Maction. Tuesday night, could not watch it. Because one game was on ESPNU, one was on ESPN2, and despite paying for YouTube TV and ESPN Plus, those games were not available to me. So that one, the way that you guys feel, the way that many people feel about the government shutdown is the way that I feel about YouTube versus ESPN. This is not cool. And YouTube TV, it was a very easy decision to subscribe to that when it came time to find a new thing a couple of years back. Very easy choice, super simple, happened right away. Great setup, love it. Unlimited DVR, reasonable price, most of the channels I would want. But you can't take away football, man. And there was an updated, there was an email that went out to subscribers, including me, explaining a $20 credit being given. That said, just give me the credit. Don't make me fill it out like I was going to say warrant. What's the word? Not warranty. What's the thing? Rebate. Don't make me fill it out like a rebate when you buy, 2 bottles of wine. You get $8 back, or buy a 30-pack of Jenny and give you $6. Like, don't make me do that. Just give it to me. You know who I am. You know where I am. You bill me. You can find me to tell me that you owe me $20. Just give me the $20. We do this all digitally anyway. I don't need an email explaining the website I have to go to apply for my $20 credit. Like, you know what you did. You know what you're doing. You know why you're offering it to me. Just give me the money. All right, here's the latest on that story. YouTube TV unveils new update on ESPN, ABC blackouts. The only significant... When's this story from? 12th. Yesterday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Fine. The only significant news updates YouTube TV subscribers want to receive at this point are that a deal has been struck to restore popular Disney networks such as ESPN and ABC. Unfortunately, that remains up in limbo. Up in limbo? Is that right? With no clear finish to negotiations seemingly on the immediate horizon. This sounds like AI. However, there has been at least some news provided to update subscribers on talks between YouTube TV and Disney, specifically regarding what the actual holdup is that's continuing the blackouts. While the immediate concern behind the blackouts of popular Disney channels stem from the fact that many fans were missing ESPN's Monday Night Football, it appears the current issue is actually not regarding ESPN. It's about ABC. Although ESPN remains at the forefront of the conversation, a YouTube TV spokesperson revealed more of the background behind the blackout, specifically, as Awful Announcing highlighted. That's a website. The spokesperson stated that YouTube TV and Disney are, quote, in alignment, unquote, regarding the price of ESPN, but the issue remains with ABC. The two sides are in alignment when it comes to the price for ESPN. The primary sticking point in the negotiation currently is the price of ABC, a YouTube spokesperson said. That's the same exact content as the previous paragraph. That's not how people write. This isn't real. This is AI. I mean, the info can be real, but the way it's written, this is not written by a person. They don't even put a person's name on it. Ugh. All right, so no real update, except they're offering me $20, and you $20 if you're a subscriber. But you have to claim it, which I think is stupid and lame. All right, clickbait, total clickbait. Just because it says sportingnews.com does not mean this is a sporting news. I found that with Sports Illustrated too. I don't know what I'm doing with this AI stuff. Total clickbait headline. I clicked it anyway because I need to see the name. Just like the jam band is breaking up after one last tour. My guess was widespread panic, and I was wrong. It was Little Feat. Okay, this one. Dolphins linked to $230 million quarterback as Tua replacement. All right, what could that mean? First of all, I'll tell you right now, linked to them. There's nobody's linked to a $230 million quarterback right now that isn't already on their roster. But I'll read it. I'll do it. I'm part of the problem. The writing is on the wall between the Dolphins and Tua, with the GM who extended the former fifth overall pick already out the door. Tua leads the league in interceptions with 13, is likely on his way out of Miami. But if the Dolphins move on from their longtime quarterback, who could be in line to replace him? They did draft Quinn Ewers in the 7th round of this past year's draft, but he may be too raw to be thrown out as a starter. Dolphins linked to Kyler Murray as Tua replacement. There it is. I should have thought of that one. Oh, this actually references some people. ESPN analysts Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano linked Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray as a potential replacement for Tua, as Murray himself has been rumored to be on his way out of town. Yeah, he is. Kind of the same player. That's kind of... Murray obviously had the one pass to Hopkins against the Bills in that stupid Hail Murray thing. And I've always thought he's fun to watch because he's so fast. But I've also always thought he should just be playing baseball. I remember Scott Wilson going, I don't understand why the Dolphins would use this pick on the Oakland A's second baseman. That's what I think of when I think of Kyler Murray. I think of Scott calling him an Oakland A's second baseman. This is a quote from Dan Graziano from ESPN. I'd add Miami to that list if it gets to the end of the season and doesn't feel convinced Tua is its long-term quarterback, which is certainly possible. I guess we could throw Carolina in for similar reasons if Bryce Young doesn't turn things around. Most people I talk to about the Murray situation doubt the Cardinals will be able to trade that contract, which means he'd likely be released before that 2027 money triggers next March. So, yeah, that would make sense. It seems like Tua's on his way out. Decent chance of that. It seems like Murray's on his way out. Hey, that guy can fit over there. But even the headline, he's not a $230 million quarterback. If he's a free agent because he's released by the team that doesn't want to pay him the money they sign up to pay him. So that was all built on a lie. This whole segment has been built on a lie. Latest Epstein files knock White House on its heels. I'm not doing that right now. I will read about Elton John throwing a backstage tantrum at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. The singer was upset at the show taking too long before his performance. That happened to us yesterday. We didn't throw a tantrum. We just had to leave. Scott Wilson and I are typically on the second segment of the UB football postgame show with Bob Gahn. So me and Paul and Scott are all in the booth, and Bob Gahn is back in the studio. And the game ends, and Paul leaves because he goes downstairs to interview coaches and players. And the first segment is typically just Bob recapping quickly what happened in the game. And then, all right, let's go down to Paul. He's got Pete Lembo. Well, Pete had a lot to say to his team after the worst loss of the season, in which the Bulls just did not protect the ball, gave it away far too many times, had an opportunity, even with all the junk that was going on, to get right back in the game after UB forced a turnover and gave themselves the opportunity to cut the lead to one score by giving the Bulls first down at the, I think, 11-yard line. First play, interception, 85-yard touchdown. Like, ugh. So there were opportunities for them to get back in it. The defense played great. Gave up 38 points, but 14 of that was defensive touchdowns. One long play, a couple sustained drives, or one sustained drive. It's all running together right now. I stopped taking notes in the fourth quarter. I write down things on every drive. Not every single play, but I write something down for every drive. I write down where it starts, and I just tailed off. There was a point where Scott made some point on the radio and then turned around and looked at me and just kind of went, right? Like mouthed the words right. And I'm like, I wasn't listening. I didn't listen to the end. I was done. They were done. They were checked out. I checked out. My notes trailed off. And then we get to the postgame show, and Bob's talking, and he's waiting, and he's waiting, and he's waiting for Paul. It's not Paul's fault. It's Paul got to where he needed to be. It's not Pete's fault either. He gets to do what he wants. But the bottom line is, we're upstairs going, I need to be on that bus that's going to the airport. I live in a different state, and if I don't keep moving, I'm going to be trapped up here. So we waited and waited, and we were trying to tell Bob, like, we're good. We can come on. We'll come on right now. We'll do our player of the game. We'll talk a little bit. Then Paul will be there. We can pack up the stuff. We'll get on the bus. We'll do all the stuff. And it didn't work because it took so long for Pete Lembo to be ready for Paul to talk to him. And then by the time we think we were about to talk with Bob, because Bob's in a different location. We can't talk directly to Bob. We can talk to the producers back in the studio, but they weren't listening to us in the queue. So I'm talking to the mic going, we can go on. Nothing. So then I texted one of the producers, and then he wrote back. He's like, oh, okay, you want to go on? And then he starts talking to us, and then right then, Paul was ready with Pete, which meant we're going to sit there and wait for 6 minutes while Paul and Pete talk, followed by Bob talking, followed by commercials, followed by him coming back. We're going to set ourselves back another 20 minutes right there, and we pulled the plug and couldn't do it. So not unlike Elton John, we had to get on a bus. Sir Elton John reportedly threw a fit backstage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony on Saturday. He was upset at the ceremony's organizers for taking too long and yelled things like, "What the hell is wrong with you? Nobody knows what they're doing," sources said. And then I'd have to click to subscribe to read the rest of the article, which I'm not going to do, as previously discussed. So you're getting just top-level headlines here from me on this stuff that's open in front of me. This is a fun one, too. Another clickbait, but I had to find out who it was. The best rock band in the world comes to San Francisco and plays none of its hits. Wait, is this Queens of the Stone Age? That's the best rock band in the world? I like them. I think they're cool. They're not the best. It's in quotes. The best rock band in the world is in quotes. Queens of the Stone Age has just finished performing the most obscure track off their most popular album, beneath dense murder red lights, when a screeching burst of feedback punctured through the applause. Frontman Josh Homme laughed it off and remarked, "All these vampires, you have to invite them into your opera house." 6 songs into a dramatic set of curated deep cuts at the Louise Davies Symphony Hall in San Francisco Monday night. His quip, 6 songs into a dramatic set. Got it. His quip was clearly referencing the heavy atmosphere in the room. Touring on their current live EP, Alive in the Catacombs, Queens and the 9 orchestra musicians behind them then leaned into a slow, menacing version of Keep Your Eyes Peeled, which only furthered the Dracula's dungeon under a single candelabra vibe. This is well written. This is written by a person. You have to be a person to write like this. Charles Russo, senior editor, photography and design. Nice to read something that's clearly done by a person, or really good AI. I don't remember what famous rock star, I want to say it was somebody from Motley Crue, was asked at some point if he liked real or fake breasts. And I'm tying this together. I swear to you, I'm not comfortable with the words that are coming out of my mouth, but I want you to understand there's a point here. Gave the best answer I've ever heard to any question that's ever been asked. And I've quoted him many times. Although I don't know that I've done it on the show. But now I have, or now I will have. The answer to, do you like real or fake, is I like the fake ones that look real, and I like the real ones that look fake. Perfect. That's where I am on AI writing. Either this is well done AI, or it's just a regular guy who's a good writer. Either way, I like it. It's not repeating itself. It's using intelligent words that make sense, that actually fit. Not like Omar Epps in, is that Higher Learning? Where Holly Berry's his tutor. He's trying to use fancy words like, you like real efficacious. She's like, what? I feel like AI is Omar Epps in Higher Learning. The writing, it's like, wow, I'm impressed that you almost used that word. Not correctly, but you're getting there. You're really trying. That's where we are with AI writing. But I think this is real. Going on. I don't care that much about this band. I actually am just into this one for the writing now. It was an ambitious and entirely offbeat show that completely swore off the band's hits, and it still worked in a big way. Responding to a huge ovation after a savage, drawn-out version of Someone in the Wolf, Homme quickly picked up on the way the San Francisco crowd was enthusiastically embracing what they were up to, saying, of course, this musical town of all places. I don't need to keep going on. Do I? I kind of want to see the set list and see if I recognize any of the songs. Because it said 0 of their hits. I'm going to look that up. Because I only know a few. Let's see if I know any of them. All right. What is that? Setlist.fm. Queens of Stone Age. Yeah. Concert set lists. Bear with me. Like I said, today's like a half-hearted show. Might be, well, it's not going to be half length because we're already at almost 11 o'clock. But I don't think we're going all the way to noon. All right. What have I heard of? Burn the Witch. I've heard of that song. Oh, they played No One Knows. That's their biggest hit. Number 6. 6th song of the night. No one. Wait, I'm in the wrong show. Haha. Wrong show. San Francisco. That's the one. All right. The show happened on the 10th. And don't know it. They have a song called Suture Up Your Future. I like that. I Never Came. A Song for the Deaf. They have an album called Songs for the Deaf. Their biggest album is called Songs for the Deaf. But I don't know the song, A Song for the Deaf, which I assume is on there. Yeah, I don't recognize a single song. They played 17 songs. I don't know any of them by name. The only one from Songs for the Deaf was Mosquito Song. Okay, they said that was mentioned in the article. And I don't know why that other one wouldn't be. Oh, all right. There's a song called A Song for the Deaf, but it's in like a medley of 3 songs. And so that shows up as its own track. You don't need to know this. You don't need to know this. I apologize. I'm oversharing. All right. So that leaves me with the only story that I didn't get. Well, I have the 9 takeaways from the Eddie Murphy movie. But look, it's the LA Times, and I can't even read it. So we're closing that one. There's a story that's just for me about some new change with Google Messages that I'm interested in because I'm an Android person. I like Android stuff. And there's a website called Android Police. Apparently, I've clicked on enough of their stuff that I get their stuff in my feed now regularly. Google Messages is gaining this long overdue group chat feature. So here's what I've got open on my screen right now. I've got just the Google News thing that feeds me all these ideas. I've got latest Epstein files knock White House on its heels, which I'm prepared. I'm not reading that one live. Like, I want to read it myself first before I decide if I want to read it. Because it's been a lot of shows. It's been 209 shows, and we have successfully stayed out of the Epstein thing. Just because I'm not comfortable. Like, I don't trust any of it. I feel gross about all of it, just like you. But any, like, rumors about it, it's always just like, oh, I bet he was there. Oh, there's a picture. Like, yeah, I know. And it might involve this, and it might involve that. And I don't feel like I should be the one speculating on this. I can speculate on, where Kyler Murray's going to go. I feel comfortable with that. Like, do we live in a world entirely populated by pedophiles? Is not a place I like to just hang out and take guesses. So I am going to take a look at that story, but I am going to play music first. Or not first, at the same time, really. I'm going to put on some music. I'm going to read the thing. Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe there'll be something else. Maybe it's going to be a shorter show than normal. Anything is possible. Here on episode 209 of Riter Radio. We're up and running. It's functioning, which is good. I wasn't positive that was going to happen as recently as like 9:58 a.m. But we got it. We're good. I feel a little off because I'm looking at my face on the screen there, and I'm like over to the side because of the microphone. Maybe I don't need to be there. Maybe I could just sit here and it sounds fine. That's probably right. I could probably just do it like this. So a lot of trial and error type of stuff going on here on episode 209 of Riter Radio, where we are going to take a timeout so I can play music and get water and read about the Epstein stuff because that's fun. All right, what did I just play? I gotta write this down. That was Outfit. Outfit by Jason Isbell. That was the most recent song. Played Cherub Rock. Paranoid Android. All right. Paranoid Android. I have to write down all the songs I play because, in theory, they all go on the playlist. Well, I haven't updated that in a while. It's going to be a long night. Just going. I save all these lists. I'm just adding all the songs. There's 100-something songs that I've played recently that have not made it onto the list yet. Outfit. That was the live version of Outfit, but Outfit is Outfit. Cherub Rock by Pumpkins. Paranoid Android by Radiohead. Outfit by Jason Isbell in the 400 unit. We're good. All right, it's 14 minutes after 11. I mentioned this already, but I don't think we're going to go all the way to 12 today. I've got somewhere I need to go right after this. And also, I kind of just got home. I got home at 3 in the morning. I slept until right before the show. And I'm just kind of all over the place. So my stuff isn't unpacked yet. I got to figure out where I'm going and what I need to be. Like, I just need time. So the show will be a little shorter than normal today, but you'll survive. It'll be fine. Also, at some point, I hope today we'll get caught up on the online version of it, because if you've missed anything the last couple days, the podcast versions don't exist because various reasons, but because of the travel. Like, I was out of town and still able to do all the shows, just couldn't do all the stuff after the shows that make it work online. So again, it's a work in progress, one-man team, although these meetings are about making things more than a one-man team. So we're working on it, but in order to better serve the show, I'm going to need to end the show earlier than normal today. I read through the Epstein Files story, the latest, during the break. Like I said, I didn't want to just read it on the air and then decide then whether or not I wanted to be talking about it, because I'm not super comfortable talking about it when, I mean, obviously, it's a problem, and there's stuff that people want to know, and there are files that need to be released, and that's starting to happen, and then stuff has come out. But I'm not comfortable. I'm happier in the world where I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I just watch sports and tell you that I like things or don't like things. I watch movies. I can tell you, you want to see the Eddie Murphy thing. It's good. It's not unbelievable, but it's good. I mean, the craziest thing to me about the Eddie Murphy movie, it's called Being Eddie. It's on Netflix. It just came out within the last day or so. I guess he was on one of the late night shows a couple nights ago because it did premiere last night. I don't remember if it was Kimmel or whatever. Oh, there's Kimmel News too. Cleto died, the band leader, 59-year-old band leader. I didn't read what happened to him, just that he died, and that I think Kimmel's taken a couple nights off. Because it's either his friend from when they were kids or it's like a cousin. I think it's a friend, though. That, like, he's been friends with this guy forever, and he's been the band leader for 20-plus years, however long that show's been on the air. And he died seemingly suddenly. I should look that up. Yeah, I'm going to look that up, because that one, I like him. I don't know him well. I don't know him at all as a person, but just pleasant. Like, one of those pleasant people on TV. Like, oh, that guy, Cleto. Cleto and the Cletones. Let's see. What do we know about him? He died 2 days ago. Personal life and death. Oh, following several months of illness. So maybe he hasn't been. I don't watch the show often, but I just liked him. Pleasant dude. He died at the age of 59 following several months of illness. Kimmel announced Escobedo's death on social media and eulogized him in that evening's monologue. He announced on that night's show he would take 2 nights off to mourn. Okay, so no real details on that, but that sucks. I don't know if he's been out of the lineup for a long time, or before joining Kimmel on the late night show, he performed across Vegas in 1990. He toured with Paula Abdul in support of her album Forever Your Girl. So I saw him live. How about that? There's one I didn't know. I don't remember much about the Paula Abdul show, except I remember thinking, wow, she's short. And this was during an era where I had sort of unlimited access to concerts at the Odd. 1990 is right in the sweet spot there. I'm 15 to 16. I turned 16 in 90. We were going to everything, including pop stuff. Like Paula Abdul. I definitely went to see Paula Abdul. I had a friend who was really, really into her. Not really her music so much as just her. Like, he thought she was the hottest thing that ever existed. And she was, no knocking her. I just was never, she was never my kind of thing. But I went in part because we knew how to get into every show at the Odd for free. but also in part because my buddy was like, I really want to see Paula Abdul. She's going to be here. I was like, well, we can go and we can sit right next to the stage. And we did. And he saw her and he liked her. It's been 35 years and he's still drooling probably about that show. But Cleto was on the stage. So it's funny, like a lot of these musicians that are, sort of side performers, they're in the backing band, come to prominence. Like I saw Don Henley, same era. Don Henley played at the Odd. Opening act was Susanna Hoffs. Once again, gorgeous and super small, tiny little 4 foot something of Susanna Hoffs, and she was on the stage in like a tied off T-shirt and black. We would call them yoga pants now. We called them stretch pants then. But that was it for her, and she played, 7 songs or something. Just her with a guitar. It wasn't the Bangles, but it was her from the Bangles. That was memorable. And then Henley comes out, and he had 3 backup singers with him. And the one really stood out. And I remembered then the next time I saw her on television, I was like, I know her. She was the Henley singer. I remember her because it was Sheryl Crow. And the first time you see Sheryl Crow, if you've never heard of her, never seen her before, and then it was, it's 1990 or 89 even, because that album, The End of the Innocents, came out. I think the concert was in 90 or 91, but super early Sheryl Crow. And that was just burned into my head. And next thing you know, all she wants to do is have some fun. And I was like, I know you. G.E. Smith was the band leader for SNL forever. He was in the Hall & Oates band, the first band I ever saw live. Well, the first band was the opener, which was Scandal, featuring Patti Smythe. She was the warrior. She was the warrior. But Hall & Oates, part of the band was the guy's name I just said, G.E. Smith. He was like the guitar player, band leader on SNL forever. But prior to that, he was touring with Hall & Oates. So I saw him too. So that's kind of cool. So now I think I probably saw Cleto. Not the Cletones, just Cleto. When he toured with Paula Abdul in 1990. How about that? All right. Stop with that. Oh, so I read the Epstein thing. I decided I don't want to talk about the Epstein thing. Like when this story breaks, when, we have confirmed information that's not just, a White House source says this on the condition of anonymity. Like, there's bad stuff that's been covered up. I think most of us would agree there's something there, but I'm not getting into that speculation. That's too real. Like, I don't even like trade rumors in like the NHL. There used to be trade deadline. Like, I would laugh at that because it's like, it's unconfirmed stuff. Why are we talking about it? It's just stuff. So then after reading the Epstein story during that little musical interlude there, I was like, I need to cleanse my palate of this. In fact, I need to close that story right now. I don't want his name on my screen. And then I just clicked on this thing called Classic Rock Lists. I was like, oh yeah, I need one of these. Like, I love this website. It's just lists of stuff I care about. And each of these categories is just a list that you would hit. Like, here's a top 10 songs list from 1967, 68, 72, 73, 77, 78, 82, 87, 2011. Like, 70s glam rock songs, 80s rock ballads, Beatles underrated songs, 63 to 65, Jeff Beck songs, Richie Blackmore songs, Black Crowes songs, covers better than originals. Like, any one of these lists could be a 12-minute segment. Cowbell songs, more cowbell songs, even more cowbell songs. That's 3 lists. That, to me, is the way to go. When in doubt, don't talk about Epstein. Talk about rock music or hip-hop or whatever, but, like, music, pleasant, fun. The Cars songs. Just a list. Top 10 song list, The Cars. Do I want to do that? I kind of do. Anyway, I did this. I opened up the list, and I was like, there's so many lists. There's no reason that I have to pick one of these lists. So I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look at this day in music. in this day in music history. There are a few items in there that popped out. Where do we start? Well, we'll start at the top and see if I can find the same ones that I found earlier. Today, 10 years ago today, was the terrorist attack at the Eagles of Death Metal show in Paris. And it sounds like a lot of words that don't go together if you're not familiar with the band or the attack. But today in 2015, the blues rock band Eagles of Death Metal were in the midst of performing a sold-out show at Le Bataclan in Paris when the venue was attacked by terrorists armed with automatic rifles, grenades, and explosive suicide vests. The band escaped unharmed through a backstage door, but 89 audience members were killed, including the band's merchandise manager, Nick Alexander. I saw a movie about that band recovering from that, and it was good. I don't remember where it was, but I'm typing it in to find out. 2017. Yeah, it's called Our Friends. It's a 2017 documentary about the American rock band. So it's probably in French. Maybe that's why I don't remember a ton about it. That's all it's a Colin Hanks thing. It's an HBO thing. Okay, yeah, I definitely saw this. And I remember it being very interesting, and I liked it. But obviously it didn't stand out enough for me to remember anything about it, so that's probably bad. But yeah, okay, so that was 10 years ago today, and that's not that much better than talking about Epstein. Oh, good. Today in music history, terrorism. That's no good. But there are other things involved. Today in 99, the Spice Girls were the highest earners in pop during the 90s. Their debut album, Spice, selling over 20 million copies. Elton John was second with The Lion King. So first place for the 90s, Spice Girls. Second place, Elton John. Weird. Not this. Oh, here we go. 1982, Men at Work started a 15-week run at number one on the U.S. album chart with their debut album, Business as Usual, which I own on vinyl, which went on to sell over 5 million copies in the U.S., including one to me, Brad. Do you want to sit here while I go get the album? It's like on the other side of the desk. I have to walk around the desk and a chair to get to it, but I can hold it up. I could show you. I'm not going to get up just to do that. But I'm telling you right now, there's a copy of Business as Usual on vinyl right there. And it'd be easy to find because they're alphabetized in my cool record case. Super underrated band. I think people probably think of them as almost funny, almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Novelty, like almost a novelty act, in that Who Can It Be Now is a pop song that ends in a question mark. That's weird. A pop song from that era that featured a saxophone, I guess, is not that weird. But it was just, they're Australian, which makes them weird, goofy, funny. Like James McCann. I went to see that comic, James McCann. He's super funny, but like 30% of his funny is the Australian accent. And so there's something funny about Australian bands with silly songs. Their second album had Down Under, which I think is, it feels to me like that was the way that people came around and like worshiped the song Africa when Weezer put it out again, however many years ago that was. It feels like 10 years probably. Close. But the way that people acted like they felt about the song Africa, I feel like people actually did feel about the song Down Under by Men at Work. It's like, it's a little weird. It's worldly. It's about a different part of, but if everyone would sing along. Who doesn't like that song? Everybody likes that song. That was on their second album. But they also have a song on the first album, Business as Usual, which we were discussing, called Overkill, which is one of the greatest songs ever written by anybody about anything. And I did it the one day as a song of the day on the radio show back when it was an actual radio show and I could just play the music and it would be fine. Now I do the music as like a separate part because I don't want to talk over the music because I want to be able to put the audio, like the voice audio, online afterward. And if it's got any music with copyright issues, then that becomes a problem. So I isolate it for the live stream. It's me talking, and then it's music, and then it's me talking, and then it's music. But back in the day when I was doing the radio show, I played the song Overkill by Men at Work, the studio version of it. I said, just listen to it, see what you think. And I remember specifically my buddy Josh, I got him to come around on it because he thought, oh, this song sucks. Maybe it wasn't Josh. It probably was, but it might have been somebody else. But regardless, the point remains the same. It's like, listen to this song. It sounds like an Australian band from the 80s. Then listen to the acoustic version of it where it's just lead singer Colin Hay with the version that was made famous in episode 1 of season 2 of the TV show Scrubs. Colin Hay is walking behind Turk and JD and just kind of following them and stalking them while playing this song on guitar. And it's so cool. It's this crazy, super artsy, weird open to the second season of the show that the creators of the show described as saying, and Zach Braff specifically, once we were able to do this scene, we knew we could do anything we wanted to do. Like, they were just going to let us have free reign and be creative, because it is a weird scene to see on network television, on a sitcom. I have another sneeze coming. That's going to mess up the next 30 seconds of the show. Maybe less. No problem. No problem. We're fine. It's fine. People sneeze. So what I did that day is I played the studio version of Overkill. Then I played the acoustic version of Overkill. And then I said, all right, now that you've heard what the song really is, now listen to the studio version again. And it worked like a charm. So I'd recommend doing that yourself. I'm not going to do the whole exercise right now again. But find the song Overkill by Men at Work, studio version off of Business as Usual. Listen to it. You'll like it. Or you won't. But I believe my friend at the time was like, I thought nothing about this song at all, listening to it the first time. Then you hear the acoustic, and you're like, oh. And then you go back and listen to the studio. So, Overkill, Men at Work. Here's the other thing I think was cool. So that's 1982. 1 year before that, U2 kicked off a 23-day North American October tour at J.B. Scott's in Albany, New York. So October is the album. That doesn't mean that they kicked off an October tour in November. That would be stupid. Today, November 13th, they started their October tour. No, October is the name of their album. So I looked up U2, and like a couple different things come to mind here with about U2. One, I've never loved U2 aside from Achtung Baby. I just thought that album was incredible. But for the most part, like, I've never seen U2. It's not a bucket list type of thing for me. I don't know. There's something, I don't like the pretension, although I did like it during the Achtung Baby tour, or Achtung Baby era, and Zooropa and that kind of stuff. I kind of got into that. But the one U2 album I've always loved is War, which is their third studio album, I believe. I need to bring that up. This is where I'm going with this, is like, I'm realizing a lot of things about U2 based on these dates. Number one, the October tour kicking off in Albany. That's their second album. So their first album is called Boy. It came out in 80. Second album is October. And then the third one is War. I have for a while thought it's weird of me that I'm obsessed with the album War, but I have no interest in Boy or October. But I'm also looking at it thinking, I was 5 when Boy came out. I was 6 when October came out. At least I was 8 when War came out. I didn't get it right when it came out. I would guess the first album I owned was Rattle and Hum, because I've never owned a copy of the Joshua Tree. I didn't really love that. They became massive, massive, massive in 1987. But at the time, I was going in a different direction with REM. Because REM and U2 each came out with an album in 87. It was great. But the one that became the massive monster thing was the Joshua Tree. But I just, like, Where the Streets Have No Name doesn't do anything for me. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. No. Keep looking. But REM Document, that's the one that made me go, ooh, what's going on here? And then I followed everything forward and backward in their career. I never, for some reason, went back to Boy or October, but I loved War. But I also think, okay, that's because I found out they existed in, oh no, it wouldn't be 87 because The Unforgettable Fire is Pride in the Name of Love. I loved Pride in the Name of Love. The early morning April Fool shot ring out in a Memphis sky high. In the name of love. I liked that when I was a kid. So that's 84, so I'm 9. So I like that. And then I'm guessing that War was the album that was available in the Columbia House Record or Tape Club or the BMG, whatever it is. I'm not sure why I had, but I have a copy of War on cassette that I wore out. That was an interesting one because the whole album, it was a weird format. I think it's the only one that I have like this. The whole album is on each side. So if you play one side of the cassette, you get the whole thing, and then it ends, and you flip it over, you get the whole album again. It's side A, side B. It's side A has everything, and then side B has everything again. Do you even need to name the sides at that point? Probably not. But that tour, and now I want to look up, did U2 tour with Boy? Because if U2 did not tour with Boy and only came to the United States to tour for their second album, October, that thing kicking off on this day in Albany, New York is interesting to me. I've spent a lot of time in and around Albany. I've got a lot of friends in and around Albany. U2 is still among the biggest bands ever to exist on the world stage. And if their American tour began in Albany in 1981, I think that's pretty cool. Live performances. All right, let's see what it says here. All right. U2 3 tour was in 79-80. 11 O'Clock TikTok tour was 80. And the Boy tour is 80 to 81. Let's see if they came to America for that tour. I don't know how to find this information. At least not quickly. I just want a list of their shows. Wouldn't you think if there was a whole... Oh, no, this is just a... Okay, this is not... I was thinking it was a page about the tour. It's a page just about the album. That's why I can't find it. So, either U2 played a very early... played their first show of an early tour in Albany. Or they played their first show in America on the Boy tour in Albany on this date in 81, which I think is super cool. And the thing that... I'm glad I didn't go to the show. A, I didn't know anybody in Albany yet. B, I was 6. C, I didn't love them. But also, War hadn't come out yet. The 1983 album, which is kind of the real start of music for me. That's when I joined the record club. Columbia House Record Club, which was the start of all of this musical journey that I've been on. Just as a fan, I don't really play anything. I just like it a lot. Going to a concert tonight, big concert. You know who's playing? My kids. Talk a lot about the sports stuff that's going on, and there's quite a bit of that. You know, we'll have, I think Saturday, we've got 3 games at the same time, or pretty close to it. There's a football game and a basketball game going on at the same time, and then an hour and a half later, there's a baseball game. So, I'll go to one. I think I'm going to football. My wife's going to go to basketball, and then we'll meet up at baseball at 6:30. But that's the kind of stuff. Today, there's a baseball practice. I'm going to the baseball practice, dropping off a kid, turning around, going to watch the other 2 kids perform music, and then as soon as that ends, turning around to go get the kid from baseball practice. And this is, of course, the dad, me, who just got back at 3 o'clock in the morning from following a football team around Michigan, following the UB Bulls in their loss last night at Central Michigan. Great stadium. Great stadium. Great uniform combos. It looked awesome. If you saw any of it on TV, the Chippewas looked, at least from our booth, identical to the Washington Commanders. Just a real, crisp, maroon and gold. It was a really good look. And UB looked great, too. Except for all the turnovers, which did not look great. Player of the game was tough to pick. I mean, Red Murdoch is Red Murdoch, so that one was easy. Scott picked the punter. He was right. Dylan Drennan was great. But it was that kind of game. It was the kind of game where the player of the game is the punter. And then you get home. Poor Scott. Scott doesn't live here. Scott lives in Syracuse. And I'm watching him do the math. We're on the plane. It hasn't taken off yet. He's like, all right, 1:30, 2:30, drive home, 4:30. I'm like, what time do you work? He goes, 7:30. So Scott has already been at work for 4 hours, and he got home, way later than me. He got back to Buffalo when I did, and I just had to come home and go to sleep and get up and do this. I had to set up equipment, prepare a little bit, but he had to get home, sleep for, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, maybe, and then get up and go to work. So shout out to Scott Wilson, our good friend Scott, working hard. And shout out to Paul Peck, who made his triumphant return to the radio yesterday for the game. I told him as we were getting on the plane, dude, you totally should have gone to last week's game instead. It was way better. He's like, yeah, I know. What was the point? Scott, U2, music. Oh, I was just talking about the concert. So we've got a concert tonight. I don't know what it is, but one of my kids plays saxophone and the other one plays trumpet. And Drew plays trombone, but he's not ready for a performance yet. I have a 9-year-old trombone player. If you want to have some fun, rent yourself a trombone for your 4th grader. It's like a party. It's like a party all the time. The loudest, worst party you've ever attended is happening all the time right in your own home. It's great. All right. I said I'm going to end early, and I did not lie to you. I'm going to do that. I'm going to play maybe I'll play 2 U2 songs. They're both short. I don't love U2. I do love this song, Seconds. I love it's always just appealed to me. The military, the marching, it's on war. You can hear war in the song Seconds. And then I forgot about the song 40 that's on there that I might play also. But I'm definitely playing Seconds, and then I'm not coming back today. I'll be back tomorrow. It's time. It's time to wrap the show up. It's going to be 10 minutes early. Get over it. There are times when I go 40 minutes long. Today's 10 minutes short. You'll be fine. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking out episode 209. Thanks to Brian Janik and the Financial Guys for their sponsorship of said show. A little bit of music. Then we're back tomorrow at 10 here on Riter Radio.